Hi guys, it's Jacob, and today I'm here again with my grandmother, and we are going to be reviewing day 3 and day 4 of the Democratic National Convention. Give me some overall thoughts on the last couple of days.
Well, what started off pretty shaky turned out magnificently, I thought. It was a good thing. It was exciting, but then with a Democrat, you never know. It's always going to be exciting because it's so diversified.
So, day 3, we had a lot of star speakers. I just wrote some notes. We have Joe Biden, Michael Bloomberg, we had Tim Kaine, um, President Obama. We had a lot of people. So, which one of those speeches do you want to talk about first?
I
Should we
love.
just go in chronological order, I guess?
Okay, let's go.
All right, so I think Joe Biden spoke first,
Oh, I
right?
thought he was.
It was a quick speech, but I thought it was very authentic, and he definitely covered a lot of stuff, and he showed us, Uncle Joe, the Joe Biden everyone knows.
I thought he was wonderful. I enjoy him because he's going to tell you what it is. He's a straight arrow. He shoots from the hip, but he's got a great deal of caring and love in his heart. I liked his speech. Nobody had any doubts about what he was saying or what he was thinking, and I like that.
Yeah. So I liked his line when he was saying that Donald Trump, he doesn't have a clue about the middle class, and he said, someone who's growing up as a kid, and their catchphrase is "You're fired." That he's not for obviously the American people or the middle class when his catchphrase is "You're fired," because who wants to grow up firing people from their jobs and stuff. And I thought he made a really good point about that because I don't think anyone really covered about that at the DNC yet.
That was a good point, and he Trump seems to get so much pleasure out of firing people that you have to figure that that's part of his character, and I don't think that's a nice part of his character.
Hmm. And he also said that he exploits our fear of ISIS, and he has no real plan against them.
Mm-hmm. That's true. I don't think he has a real plan about anything, or how he's going to accomplish what he's telling you he's going to do.
Hmm. Okay.
The next one was.
So Michael Bloomberg.
I was surprised about Michael Bloomberg. He came right out and said that, and I didn't realize that if he was going, the reason he did not run as an independent was because he would be, I guess, technically giving
Impacting the
the
polls.
yeah, giving the election to Trump, and he wanted to do everything he could to keep Trump out of the White House, and Hillary was his path to keeping Trump out of the White House. That he would never have gotten
Because
enough votes to win, but he would be the spoiler, and he didn't want to for Hillary, and he didn't want to be that. That made sense.
yes, because there was talk about him running sort of to the middle to the end of the primaries,
Yeah,
but he was saying he's not going to run if Donald Trump is the Republican nominee.
that's right. Yeah, and he saw it. And very smart. Now he's a very smart businessman. Very smart businessman. But he doesn't walk around and say, pound his chest and say, "I did it all. I'm wonderful. I'm the best in business." All the other stuff. He has a little bit of humility, and he doesn't have to. He's not so in love with his own bullying voice.
Hmm. I thought he was very authoritative, and he kind of has a funny voice, but he made it clear why he was there, and he definitely attacked Trump from a business perspective, and I think that's what really hits Trump the most, and what
I,
could I guess psychologically make him lose it or something, because that's what his whole mobile is about, and that's his whole spiel that I'm a successful businessman. But when you have another successful businessman attacking someone for their success in that type of industry, I think it was more you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I agree with you. And I was very pleasantly impressed that Michael Bloomberg came out there and said those things so clearly that everybody gets it.
And he, made it clear, and he said that, Donald Trump, thousands of lawsuits, multiple bankruptcies, angry stockholders, ripped off contractors. And he had some good lines too. He said, "I know a con when I can see
I love
one."
that one. That was good. That was very. I mean, New York people. That's how they talk. That's how they see it.
And
they don't sugarcoat it. It's right in your
yes,
face.
they just say it as it is.
Right.
And he said, "We needed a sane, competent person."
Oh,
that was
they
also
did.
another big line from it.
Well, that was a good one. Well, it was very true. Exactly. No, I liked Michael Bloomberg very much.
He said, "This is not reality television. This is reality."
Yeah,
and I thought that was a good point as well.
Very good. Very
Yeah,
good.
so he really knocked him down
Yeah.
on a business person level because, he's also from New York. He's also a billionaire, and because he's not a Democrat, so I think that,
Yeah.
even proved his point even more.
That's his point.
And he also brought up that Donald Trump, or I was watching them in the commentaries on CNN, they were saying that Donald Trump currently he's getting visas for his workers, or he was requesting them for immigrants for, some of his jobs actually.
That whole thing, it's don't do as I do, do as I say. And that's Trump. And I really think he's impossible. It's impossible to vote for him.
Okay. So up next is Tim Kaine. What do you think about Hillary Clinton's vice president nominee choice?
He was pleasant. I guess he has quite a history of doing good and helping others and working on the same idea that Hillary has always been. I have to see him more to really get a real feel for what the
Yeah,
man
I think
is.
the main focus of his speech was, introducing himself and trying to attack Trump. Now, I thought his speech, in my opinion, was very boring. 10 minutes in, I was like, okay, we get it. Because he just, talked about his family for 20 minutes and then went on and started attacking Trump. And I thought what was really good about day 3 of the DNC, I think the main goal was showing that they know how and where to hit Trump. Because I thought the DNC, they had a lot of good videos, actually, compared to the RNC. And I think, the day 3 and day 4 especially, there were more accepting of the Bernie Sanders delegates and supporters because, the 43% of the people voted for Bernie Sanders. So I thought, they really had to make a case to them, and I thought they were showing the more open arms to them on day 3.
Yeah. Oh, I do think so. Now, let me ask you a question. You are a Bernie Sanders supporter. Now, how do you feel better about voting for Hillary, or if you were old enough to vote, which you're not, but do you feel better about Hillary becoming president after this Democratic convention was over? Do you see a coming together, and are you part of that?
I think there is still mistrust and not necessarily unity within the party, but if I had to vote, and I've said this before, I think I would vote for Hillary now. But that being said, Bernie was my ideal candidate. He was the candidate that I supported and wanted in the Oval Office. But after the Democratic National Convention, I definitely feel a little bit better leaning towards Hillary. I do still have some mistrust and, skepticism about her. And we'll get into that once we talk about her speech.
Okay.
So I thought it was funny because Tim Kaine, I think one of the main points why Hillary Clinton picked him was because he spoke Spanish. And he would definitely get, the Latina, Hispanic vote, and especially with campaigning in states like Florida. So it was funny when he started the chant, "Si se puede," yes we can. I thought that was funny when he got everyone to, cheer that. And, so what do you think about his impersonation of Trump? I mean, I thought when we got to that, then I was like a little bit bored at first, but once I heard that, I was like, okay, now he's starting to be, a little more fun, a little more interactive. But how do you think that made him look and, everyone else?
Well, I think I think he is going. He's the kind of person who's going to have to grow on you. He's sort of like a blank slate right now. And once we see different things that he does, and follow him over the next several weeks and months, we might probably get a better feel for him. To me, he's still just a blank canvas, but a pleasant one.
Yeah, because I thought it was funny. He was saying, believe me," and he was pointing that out.
Yeah, I think he's quite talented, and in that way. But he's a heartbeat away from the presidency. How do you feel when you look at it like that? He's a heartbeat away.
Yeah.
Do you think he could get in there and eyeball to eyeball with ISIS or Putin or China?
Yeah, I don't think we have enough information currently about him yet.
I haven't
He
seen
still
him
has
in
more
action.
introducing to do with the public.
Okay. And we need to see him in action. We really do.
I think the DNC was just to start planting some little seeds and then going closer, because now there are, 101 days until November 8th or something. He has to start growing that tree, and I think he just wanted to, plant the seeds, water it a little, and it'll start growing, closer and closer.
That's what I think too, Jake. Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to President Obama. What did you think about his speech?
I thought it was great. I thought he was. You can see that he likes Hillary and Hillary likes him. And coming from their past history of being deep opponents back in '08, and seeing how
they managed to find common ground.
They common ground, and they seem to really like and, more importantly, respect each other. And what other accomplishments they have and where their direction seems to be compatible.
I really liked the video right before they introduced him, because it was sort of like a mini documentary, and I almost kind of got goosebumps from it. I thought that's how good it was. And I thought President Obama, this was classic Obama that we know, building up into, and he, I think definitely tried to relate with people.
I do. And I think people need to, he did a little bit about what he has accomplished in his 8 years or 7.5 years. And I think we need to see that more. So everybody slams him as often as they can. And if you compare what we were in 2008 to where we are now, America is already great. How much greater are we going to get? But the point is, he resurrected a country that was really on the skids and pulled it together. And I think some people say, oh, well, recessions and these kinds of things, they're all cyclical. No, I don't think so. I think we were so far down.
Well, some people said that actually Bill Clinton was the one that might have ignited that crash to happen.
He was 8 years before that.
I know, but they were saying he planted the seeds of the crash to happen. But
I can't imagine that. I think George Bush did, but I can't imagine that Bill Clinton did. But at any rate,
what did you think about the crowd when they were chanting 4 more years? You could hear some people yelling that. I thought that was kind of funny.
Well, I think that if we get Hillary in, we're going to have 4 more.
Yeah, that's what it's essentially 4 more years of Obama.
In a way, but she's going to put her own stamp on it. And I don't know. I think that I think he's done a good job, and I think people, unfortunately, the Republicans don't like the idea that we are in as good a place as we are, and he's trying to, slash at it and make him look like he's done something wrong when I don't see that he has.
And I really liked the line when people started booing when he was mentioning Trump, and he said, "Don't boo, vote." And I thought that was, a kind of powerful line.
Very good.
Saying, don't just complain, don't boo. You got to show up in November 8th and really show them.
Absolutely, I do. I still look back, and I think of all the lines that came out of the Democratic Convention, the punchlines or whatever, was the line, "When they go low, we go high."
That was from Michelle
That
Obama's
was Michelle
speech.
Obama, and that between the two of them, I think we had a powerfully successful presidency in Obama.
All right. So, all right. Let's move on to day 4 now, I guess, the last day of the Democratic National Convention. So what did you think overall of that day?
I think it kept building up and building up to a very good peak, a very good gained momentum. I think I liked Hillary and saw the softer side of Hillary, which is not a bad thing. You want a commander in chief.
I think Bill Clinton did that. I think he made her more personable and actually seemed like a person. And if we're gonna move on to Hillary Clinton's speech now, I guess I thought she was definitely robotic at the beginning. I thought there was something about it and the way she talks. I think it's not as genuine as it could be made out to be. And I think I was watching some stuff and I kind of agree. I think it might have been, in the 2008 election, people were saying, oh, she's too emotional. She's too much of a woman. And I think that's what might have toned her down to be, so robotic.
Okay.
But I think, a little more passion from her, because especially if she's talking about all these new progressive things that she mentioned that she's going to do. When you see progressives talk, they're very passionate about these types of issues. And, it didn't seem like she was, 100% passionate about it all.
Well, the thing I thought was amazing about Hillary Clinton is the things that I learned that I didn't know about. I liked how Bill laid her out as a person that he met and fell in love with way back when, and all of their kind of personal, private, and early years and all the things she accomplished. But when I stop and I realize, if you want to stop and realize what that woman has done, really what that woman has done, it's incredible. Her resume is incredible. And an awful lot of it was so much of it was from the heart, seeing the needs of children, of oppressed families, of so much of the public. She took care of it, tried to take care of. We didn't know that. All we see is the Hillary that is, okay, maybe robotic, maybe tough, but I think she's got such a gentle side that she covers it up with that toughness. And just the offices that she's held,
well, she was saying she was more about the service, and I don't know. I wasn't so fond of that line, but
you didn't like that. Do you think Donald Trump would be service oriented to the people? Do you think he would be looking about?
And I think that's the way they tried to set up the convention. I thought they managed to attack Trump, but they were able to, still have a positive tone. Because compared to the RNC, it was just a dark cloud.
Oh, yeah.
Every single speech, anti-Hillary, anti-Muslims, anti-immigrants.
Anti-everybody but the middle class or upper middle class white male. Anti-everything but them. And those are the people that are going to vote for Trump. But there's so many more people in this country now that you have to include. We need to be an inclusive country, not an excluding country. Mm-hmm. And I remember reading Hillary's book 20 years ago. It takes a village to raise a child. And that is a beautiful philosophy. And I think that's what the Democrats are trying to be like. And the Republicans feel like, no, I've accomplished this, and so go away. I'm it. No, it's everybody, and we need to think along those lines rather than the rich getting richer. I really do think.
Okay, so her speech was definitely a complete contrast to Donald Trump's speech last week.
Yeah.
His speech was focused on fear-mongering, and she said it was about 70 odd minutes, and those were some odd minutes when she says that. And I thought that was, an attack at him. And I thought she definitely made it obvious and wanted to show a contrast between her and Donald Trump. Her speech was more policy-oriented and contained more substance. I thought it was enough, but it might have been a little too much policy. You know what I'm saying? You could have shown more sides of herself.
Yeah.
But I thought it was definitely contrast to Donald Trump's speech. it was just 70 minutes of nothing, of just talking.
Donald, you're talking Donald?
Yeah. And she kept talking about the story, and in the trailer of the story of, how she was being bullied and how her mom told her, you have to go to those bullies. And I think that was trying to symbolize or, show a connection of what it's like today. And I think she was trying to say that Donald Trump is a bully and she's the person she's standing up to. And I thought that's, why she kept going on with that story. So she had a hoarse voice though. She kept at the beginning.
I think they've talked themselves to death. I think their vocal cords really do need a rest, as long as the rest of their bodies. I mean, she's going right back out now on a bus tour with Tim Kaine. I think she should take a few days and relax. She could stay.
But you can't when you're running for president. You have to go.
I think Donald Trump is relaxing at Mar-a-Lago, and he's just on Twittering away and just sitting in the sun.
Mm-hmm. So, what did you think about when she said, you can't believe anyone who says I alone can fix it?
Oh, no.
I thought that was good, and I thought her speech was definitely oriented around her Stronger Together theme, and how she said, it's not just one person who's going to change things, right? It's a collection of people who have to come together, and together we can fix this country's problems.
Exactly.
And I thought that was a good message.
Good. That was very good. Yeah, I alone can fix it. It's borderline wacko land. I mean, the man hasn't a clue. He really hasn't a clue. It's all about it begins with I and ends with me.
So now, my biggest thing about her speech was she definitely moved more towards the left in her policies, in her speech, you could say. But I and a lot of people are still skeptical. Of if she's actually going to do those things. And because, we saw Obama, he said that he couldn't really do some of that type of stuff. Right. But do you really think, she's going to get money out of politics? She's going to pass a law, a bill or whatever, make people actually pay their taxes when she's getting all of this money from Wall Street, from big corporations, from the lobbyists? I mean, is she really going to do those things when she's funded by those people? I thought that was fake, and I don't think she's going to necessarily do those things.
I think she's going to try, though. I think she's going to try to get Wall Street and those people to think in terms, not just bottom line, I got more today than I had yesterday, but I got all this. Maybe I can help out along the way. That would be a nice attitude to take. And now I know a lot of these foundations donate, but I'm sure they get...
Well, when she says, I believe in science, okay, you believe in science, but you've taken over $7 million from the fracking business and corporations. It just seems like... that's not gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? When she's gonna break up the big banks, Wall Street reform, and all of that type of stuff. She did mention $15 minimum wage, expansion of Social Security, equal pay, voter rights. So yeah, and I think another big line from her speech when she said, "When there aren't ceilings, the sky's the limit." What did you think about that line? When there aren't ceilings, the sky's the limit.
I like that. Mm-hmm. Of course, as a woman, I like that.
Mm-hmm. She also said she's going to invest in infrastructure. She says she wants to work on debt-free college with Bernie Sanders, and I thought that's what she did well with her speech. She, I think she tried to pull in definitely the Bernie Sanders supporters with her speech, especially when she gave them a shout-out, and I think purposely Joe Biden did that, Tim Kaine did that, she did that, Obama did that, and I think they were trying to pull them in more, because a lot of the times they had to change the narrative of, oh, you people are being crazy, you people are being silly. She moved, I think, more to the left, and now she's trying to pull them in, which I think is a contrast to, what most people do. They actually move more to the right, because they want to get the independent votes, and the Republicans and such. But a lot of people are saying the past 20 years America has moved to the right, but this speech she moved to the left. So she talked a lot about her plans in this speech. and also, paid family leave. And I like this line when she says, why can Trump ignore his debts when American college students can't ignore
That is
theirs?
very to the point.
I like that
I
line.
like that line, and I also feel they need to play up that he did that four bankruptcies, all within legal limits. But sometimes legal limits are not moral limits, and that's where I feel that people ought to be thinking more about those things. You would you lend money to this man? Because you're not going to get it back. I think that would be a interesting commercial. I don't know. I think that before the election, I'm going to try to go to the library, if I can, and get out two books. One is going to be Donald Trump's The Art of the Deal, and the other one is going to be Hillary Clinton's It Takes a Village to Raise a Child. And I think if people would read.
And the thing about Trump's is he had a ghostwriter, so someone else sort of wrote a lot of it for him.
I know. But his point, he agreed to it, and his picture is on the cover. So I mean, but if people would side by side read each of those books,
Read a chapter of his, read a chapter of hers.
No, read the whole book and then the whole book, and that way you're going to get an insight. And I haven't read, them in a long time, but if you're going to get a better insight there than probably in speeches at the conventions.
Mm-hmm. So now let's move on to her attacks on Trump. She talked about Atlantic City and how a bunch of contractors were laid off, and how he still managed to get paid, but ruined these types of contractors who went into debt and stuff.
And he said, I made a lot of money in Atlantic City. Well, we know how you did it, Tom.
Mm-hmm. You just screwed everyone else over.
It.
And I think she said, Trump's suits, they're made in Mexico. His furniture is made in Turkey. And she said he can start by actually making things in America.
I like that. Mm-hmm. And I think that I'm hoping there is going to be a turnaround and we will be able to make more things in America.
And I think she definitely, I think a good point of the convention was she's a competent person. She is more presidential than Trump. And I think that's the whole thing, especially, with national security, because when it comes to ISIS, Trump says, we're going to take down ISIS. Believe me, I can't say it because what if ISIS is watching this? You don't want to give away your plans, but then how are you going to defeat them? With Hillary Clinton, she says, she's going to strike the local sanctuaries from the air, or she'll work with the locals and fire on ground, and she'll stop them online in their cyber attacks. At least she showed some type of substance compared to Donald Trump.
I agree. Oh, definitely, I agree.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So
and, yeah, she said something like Donald Trump can't handle the rough and tumble of a presidential campaign. And she was saying you can't trust Trump with nuclear weapons when he gets provoked by a tweet.
That was good, too. And it was true. All of these are great punchlines, but they're also very true. I mean, that man, if anybody really stood up and spit in his eye, I have no idea what he would do. But deep down inside, I think he'd run away.
You do? Well, there are talks about. There were talks about at the debates, the upcoming. There's going to be 3 debates with him and Hillary. They're saying maybe he's going to try to reschedule. Or he's going to try to back out of those debates.
I'll bet. We'll see.
She also said, "We can't afford a president in the pocket of the gun lobby."
Oh, that was good.
It starts with listening. And she talked a little bit about systemic racism and criminal justice reform. Let's see. And she also, talked about how Trump insulted John McCain.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. And she talked about how he said the justice with Mexican heritage can't do his job right because he has Mexican heritage.
Yeah.
And she just said enough with the bigotry.
Very good point.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of the 2 characters now, if you were going to analyze both characters, she would come out so far ahead of him.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so at the end, ton of balloons, tons of happy people. You know, they were on stage. I think she's mastered the presidential wave. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, yeah. Good. No, I think she did well. I think we saw a softer part of Hillary, and I did.
Yes, because she's been criticized for yelling the whole time in her
Yeah.
speeches. I thought she managed to lay back a little more,
Yeah.
but I still think she was a little bit robotic in my opinion.
I like. What did you think of Chelsea?
I thought she was okay, and we were talking about this earlier. They definitely wanted to not make hers a big speech like Ivanka's because they didn't
Right.
want to compare those two because
Yeah.
Ivanka did pretty well. So hers was more of an introduction and talking about Hillary as a mom.
Yeah.
So what did you have any opinions on
I
hers?
liked that. I think she was more humble. She was more genuine. I thought Chelsea. Chelsea's not a politician. She's a very lovely girl. They turned out a very, very nice child. And I thought it was a beautiful tribute and introduction to her mother. And it wasn't a big show like Ivanka was.
All right. So let's talk about day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. As a whole, give me a little overview of the convention if you had to describe it in like a paragraph.
Well, it went from, oh my God, what's going to happen with all these people yelling and drowning out everybody and booing and I thought, oh boy, this is going to be really bad. And it just started to elevate. It started to go up every day. It went up. Every speaker spoke, did their job, did what they were put there to do. I thought it was quite lovely. I loved that little boy that sang. I thought he was beautiful. I liked the idea that they had nice music in this.
I did think that too. Like they had Alicia Keys,
Yeah.
Katy Perry. They had people like that there who were singers and supported her. And I think
I think that was lovely to do.
because I don't think the RNC. I don't think they had like any big singers like that.
But I'm looking back on it, I don't think. But one thing we forgot to mention, but I was very touched about, was Paul Simon when he sang "Bridge Over Troubled Waters." That brought a tear to my eye because he did it with such beauty and grace. And I remember him way back when he did it as a young man, and now as an older man, and it was very, very nice.
So also in the news, did you hear about Bill O'Reilly and what he said about Michelle Obama's speech?
Oh, now what?
Well, when she said, I wake up every day in a house built by slaves, and I see my daughters out on the lawn playing with the dogs. I thought that was powerful. A lot of people found that powerful.
I did.
And Bill O'Reilly decides to come on air, and he says, oh, well, they were fed well, and they were housed well. And there were no illegal immigrants at that time.
So were dogs.
So, and he was referring to, Mo's speech. But it's like, his audience are old white Republicans. And, I mean, I thought that was ridiculous how he said that, because they were slaves. They were slaves. That's like, if you go to the Holocaust and you said, oh, well, the Jews, we gave them food, we let them, stay in a place.
There you go.
They were forced, to stay there for the Holocaust. Or, like, even today with, like, human trafficking, they could say, well, we give them food, we give them housing. Well, you're forcing them into work, which is slavery basically.
Yeah, it was slavery, and they didn't get paid. They got food and they got housing, and they were told what to do and when to do it. That was no. O'Reilly. See, Bill O'Reilly used to be from around here. I'm surprised he's gotten to be so.
No, he's with all his friends, Geraldo Rivero and all of them. They're on air and they talk about.
Yeah. Oh, Geraldo.
We're privileged.
Geraldo was always a joke, in my opinion.
He was on the Celebrity Apprentice, Donald Trump's show.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so then let's talk a little bit about what Trump was saying. He tried to swing at Tim Kaine, but he actually hit Tom Keene. So he was trying to, deflect some stuff onto Tim Kaine, but he actually hit Tom Keene. Their last names and their first names are similar, but they're said obviously differently. Now, Tom Keene is a Republican governor from New Jersey, while Tim Kaine is from Virginia, and he says, I went to all those people and they hated him because of the tax increases, and I thought they would love him. And it was funny, he said, New Jersey at first, and then he said, I meant Virginia, but he just tried to like say the Tom Keene stuff about Tim Kaine, but they're different people.
I didn't know that one. Oh, I didn't know.
That was when he was saying the stuff, I believe, about he wants Russia to hack Hillary.
Oh my stars. Oh my stars.
And then he says, and then he was saying, if you do it, the media will reward you mightily. Like he's trying to add some enticement into them.
He does not make sense half the time. He really doesn't.
Mm-hmm. All right. So lastly, who do you think had the best speeches? Top 3, top 5 speeches out of everyone, and sort of just why? Because
I guess Hillary had the top speech as far as
you thought so.
Yeah, I did. And
Okay.
and number 2 would be Bill. Bill, I loved his speech. I thought it was lovely. I liked his speech, substantive speech. Next, Joe.
My
Biden.
top 2 would have been Michelle Obama and Joe Biden.
Talking the
whole convention.
Oh, I thought
all 4 days.
Okay. Now Hillary first.
Mm-hmm.
Then Michelle Obama. Yes. Oh, yes. Lovely. Okay. Joe Biden. Yep. Yeah.
Because he made it about his family, and he was talking about suffering, and I think they could have emphasized this point more and talked about the struggles Hillary Clinton had been through and how she, had to come back up. And he was saying, I suffer, but there are lots of people in this world that suffer, and we still have to live life. We have to get up, and we have to, try to live a normal life.
Exactly. Yeah.
Even after all of the suffering, because he lost his son, and his daughter didn't lose his wife too, or something.
Yeah.
So
he's been through. I love. He's in a place. He's in a place all by himself. Joe Biden. He's great.
It was, and I thought he was making a good point. Because when people were, sort of attacking the Bernie people and saying, just come over already," he said, "They'll come over eventually. They lost. Let them grieve. They're gonna vote for Hillary anyways. Don't keep attacking them.
No, don't attack them. No.
And I thought he made a really good point there. He said, just stop bickering, nagging at them. They'll eventually come over.
Yeah. No, Joe Biden.
Because here's the thing. If you're a true progressive, if you voted for Bernie Sanders because of his policy, and you vote for Trump, you're not a true liberal. You're not a true progressive, because Hillary Clinton did pick up some of his stuff. She is the establishment or status quo, you could say. But Trump is also the epitome of that. He is in the top 1%. He did screw over all of those people. He wants to give tax cuts to people. He is, again, the opposite of Bernie Sanders. At least Hillary Clinton is halfway there, at least. In my opinion.
Right.
So, yeah. So I thought, I wrote them down somewhere. I thought Joe Biden, Michelle Obama. I liked Bernie, of course, but I might be a little bit biased. Let me find them. I wrote, let me see. I thought Hillary's was okay. And I can't find it. But yeah, so anyone else you thought was?
I think they all had their points, and it was well taken.
Okay. Yeah, here it is. I said, Joe Biden, Michelle Obama, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and Bernie Sanders were in my top 5 speeches. 5. And of course, those were the key hot people. But...
Yeah. I think you have to put Bill Clinton in there because it was quite a speech for him to make.
Mm-hmm. I think he showed more of, like a mom side, a wife side, a daughter side, a feminine side of Hillary Clinton.
Of what she really was. And you learn more from his speech about what she was like as a young girl before she became
than Melania's speech. She just said, Donald is great man. He great man, he be good president. He great man. Your word is your bond.
Oh my God, I don't. But also, if you wanted to look at Donald and nobody went through his whole life like they did with Hillary, because if they did, they'd have to go from wife one, who was a skier from
I thought it was funny, they were saying, really, when they say Melania would be the first lady, she's the third lady, actually.
Exactly. The
And I
first
think
one?
Michael Bloomberg, he did a good job attacking him too, because he said he started off with $1 million
I know,
from
that
his
was-
father. I wasn't like that,
No.
and I think he attacked
He
him
made
definitely
sure-
on a
yeah,
business
yeah.
personal level, because that's what, that's his phenomenon, the Trump phenomenon, and that's what saved him, because of his name, his brand, which is associated with wealth.
Exactly.
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 All right.
Okay, but Donald would have they would have to talk about Donald's life, the $1 million from his daddy. Somehow he was able to not go to war or go into the military or anything to help his country because he got help, not to be.
Oh, was he
military.
supposed to go?
Well, he could have, but the thought that a guy like him is insulting a guy like John McCain
Yeah.
is beyond my even being able to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then, okay, so he grew up, he fell in love with this skier from Czechoslovakia, brought her here, non-American, brought her here. They had 3 children, they built up a big empire, and then one day he took his family up skiing in Aspen, and he had his Marla Maples, his mistress, on one floor of the hotel, and he and his family on another, and he kept running back and forth, and all of a sudden the story broke that Donald is with his mistress right now, not his wife. Well, the wife got so mad she went right home and filed the divorce. So how are we going to make a nice story out of this?
And then when he had Tiffany, she was raised in a completely different state than him.
Yeah.
He was just giving them financial support. So how can you say he's a great man, he's a great father when he wasn't there?
Right, exactly. He was not there. Then, if you want to go along more with the story, when he married Marla Maples, they signed a prenuptial. Every certain number of years, if they got a divorce after, say, 5 years, 10 years, she would get more money after the 5th year. If there was divorce, it would be a better prenup. He divorced her, and I think the early 6 months of the 4th year of marriage, so that she would get the lower amount of money. And then he was cha-chaing all over the place, and then he come up with this bimbo. I mean, I think he has really and truly betrayed 2 of his 3 wives so far. But then again...
But then some people say, oh, he's older, he's going to calm down.
That's me, I
But-
said that.
Yeah, you said.
But
But you never know.
let me say this. When this little cutesy hot toddy that he's got right now gets older and a little fatter maybe, or what have you, or if he doesn't win the election,
Hmm.
you watch.
I can see that if he doesn't win.
You can see.
There's going to be smoke flying around.
Yeah.
And I thought Hillary made a good point about the gun lobby. She was saying, I don't want you to get shot, Donald. She says, so I want more gun regulations. And I thought I laughed at that.
Well, I mean, some woman's going to get pissed off at him. But the point I guess I'm trying to make is there was no way you could talk about him on a personal level because his personal stuff.
His whole thing was
crap.
money, money, money.
Right.
And because his theme song was
Please
money,
Me.
money, money.
Yeah, Please Me, it's got to be his, what he thinks all the time. You don't jump from woman to woman like that if you have any degree of morality.
See, and here's the thing, when the evangelicals and the Republicans attack, Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, at least they stuck together through it.
They stuck together. And
Donald
it's-
Trump.
Yeah. And it's not Hillary that did anything wrong.
It was
his,
Bill.
her husband. Right.
And they stuck together anyways.
So
They
how
figured
could
it out.
Donald can possibly throw that out at her? She was a straight arrow. He was the one who strayed. And Donald certainly, not so much straight. He was out and out betrayed these women. So that's my point.
Anyways.
We're talking too long, Jacob.
I know. We're over 40 minutes. To wrap it up, one word to describe the Democratic National Convention.
It came from a shaky ground until it turned
One
out.
word. One word.
Extraordinary.
Extraordinary. All right. I'm trying to think of one. This is hard. I think the media and people that are trying to portray it as unity, and I think there are still protesters, but I think it's a little bit more united after this
Good,
convention.
very good. That was a good word. That's a better word. Very good. Well, thank you for listening.
Anyways, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. This is a new channel. I hope you liked this video. It was a little bit lengthy. We stuck through the whole thing. Thank you very much. We will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.